Hey everyone, Rho here. Today we are talking the Lord of Death, Mephiston, Chief Librarian of the Blood Angels. And we're asking the question, is this prodigious talent the hope or doom of his chapter? General spoiler warning to begin, the events we are discussing today are from across the world of Warhammer 40k, so you have been warned. But, with that said, let's just jump straight in. So the Lord of Death, one of the greatest psychers in all the galaxy, whether through fate or destiny, he has become intertwined with the lineage of Sanguinius. It didn't always appear to be this way, of course, with Mephiston's original beginnings as a young librarian by the name of Calistarius. While he always possessed a powerful mind, it most certainly wasn't anything enough to define the future of the chapter. However, as we know, Calistarius was to fall victim to the Black Rage, inducted into the Death Company, and sent into battle against the Orc menace. Only rather than dying a glorious death, he found himself trapped beneath the rubble of Hades' hive, laying pinned for 7 full days as the Black Rage ravaged him with madness. But as we know, rather than succumb and die to this blight of their bloodline, Calistarius survived, becoming reborn as the being named Mephiston. And well, Mephiston is something of a miracle to the sons of Sanguinius, the only being ever to fall to the Black Rage and emerge with his mind unbroken. His sanity was still intact. And well, having achieved this task, Mephiston represents something of a symbol of hope. For if one of the sons of Sanguinius can achieve this feat, then why not more? The truth, however, is far more darker. For Mephiston, as he came to be known, most certainly did not emerge from the rage the same he went in. And indeed it should be said that Calistarius did not emerge at all. The change had activated Mephiston's gene seed in a way not fully comprehended, and what emerged had become far more powerful than any other librarian ever known amongst the chapter. And really this has largely been Mephiston's story over the years, a symbol of hope for the angels, yet an ominous darkness at the same time. For all the power of the new Chief Librarian, it still remained Dante who was the true symbol of the angels as they should be, and in him their guiding light. However, this all took a big step forward in the novel Darkness in the Blood by Guy Haley, the latest addition to the Dante series of Blood Angels novels. Here we saw Mephiston continuing his struggle as the Lord of Death, as his power continued to evolve with him to a point he could no longer contain it, ultimately reaching a point Dante himself had to knock his Chief Librarian unconscious, rather than kill his longtime friend. The only solution that presented any hope was the arrival of Belisarius Caul's servants and the unveiling of the Rubicon Primaris, the hope for original Astartes to become Primaris themselves, at a much reduced success rate than other bloodlines. And so it was Mephiston rather than Dante who became the first angel to cross the Rubicon, in the hope that it would aid him in containing his ever more awakening power. And as we know, it has, at least so far. However, the real interesting point here for Mephiston is during this procedure he encountered Sanguinius within the warp, or at least a possible aspect of his Primarch. And here he viewed the battle for the soul of his chapter and lineage as a whole, represented by 2 battling angels, the Sanguinor representing everything honor bound and good within their blood, and an angel of darkness, representing their darkened rage. And really, to get a true grasp of this situation, you really need to read the full novel yourself, as it plays out through the entire story. However, in basic terms, Mephiston is ultimately given a choice. The Sanguinor is quite simply losing. The rage is becoming too strong for him to contain, and thus the Blood Angel's bloodline is nearing its doom. So Mephiston is propositioned with a choice, and asked to become the avatar of the Angel of Darkness. And this will kind of help bind the Angel of Darkness to a degree that the Sanguinor can contain it, for a time at least, because ultimately Mephiston is prophesied to become the Angel of Darkness fully anyway. And again, I am simplifying this here because it's a narrative that plays out across the entire story. But that's essentially where the Blood Angel's lineage secretly stands within the Warp today. The battle for the soul of the chapter is balanced due to the actions of Mephiston and the Sanguinor, two loyal sons of Sanguinius, giving the ultimate sacrifice. However, the real question I want to ponder here is, does Mephiston represent the doom of the angels, as is expected in becoming the Angel of Darkness, or does he, in a strange way, still represent its hope? Because look, yes, Mephiston may now be even more mentally and emotionally removed from his brothers around him, yet in a way, to me, he's become closer to his father now than ever, having undertaken an immense burden upon his soul, for no tau puns intended here, the greater good. It represents everything the Blood Angels are and strive to be. For millennia the Red Thirst and Rage have cursed their bloodline, yet never have the sons of Sanguinius failed to stand and rise to the challenge. For over 10,000 years the doom of the angels has been expected, yet here they still stand, beacons of light against the dark. They are the perfect reflection of their father, who gave the ultimate sacrifice, knowing he had little hope in defeating his brother. But still he went, and still his sons stand. The end of their bloodline may be prophecy. The Angel of Darkness may be prophesied to ultimately win, but the problem with prophecies is that they are not set. We have seen this with both Sanguinius and Kurz, the two brothers gifted or tormented by foresight. Fate is not set, and so is it just possible that rather than eventually succumbing to the Angel of Darkness, Mephiston could triumph? Mephiston has conquered the rage within himself before, a feat never dreamed achievable, far from truly being destined to become the Angel of Darkness. Sanguinius could in truth have chosen Mephiston because he alone represents the hope of banishing this curse from his sons. Sanguinius, much like his father the Emperor, could have simply told his son what he needed to hear. There is of course another possibility, in that Mephiston's actions have brought the time needed for the sons of Sanguinius to rail against the darkness in the material universe. The Angel of Darkness may simply have been emboldened by the state of the Imperium as it was. We know the warp is a reflection, and the Imperium is in turmoil. The Blood Angels now have become a beacon of light and hope for quite literally half the Imperium. There is no doubt this must have some reflection within the warp. Countless of millions of souls within the Imperium are praying to the Emperor and the Angel for his sons to come to their aid. We have seen the effects of this worship upon the Emperor, so what now of his son? I've spoken a little about the worship of Sanguinius before, but it certainly seems to me that Sanguinius is alive and acting more within the warp than he ever has before. Which admittedly isn't hard, as he pretty much never was before, but you know what I mean. Sanguinius in selecting Mephiston could simply be a part of the larger narrative, that Mephiston's sacrifice is one more unfortunate necessity for the Sons of the Blood. As the Sanguinor exhibits all that is good in their bloodline, so too will Mephiston exhibit all that is dark. And now, having become that avatar of darkness, the soul of their bloodline will remain balanced, an eternal struggle never to be ended. Rather than facing a mortal death, Mephiston will simply become one with the warp, a reflection of the soul of his chapter, as he ultimately comes to stand by his father's side. A father who just may be growing in power within the warp, and one who is certainly moving in ways like never before. And where the angel walks, hope lives. So in a strange way, having become the Angel of Darkness for his chapter, Mephiston could well have become the Angel of Hope, and quite simply just another part of the Angel's larger plan. But as always guys, what do you think? Is Mephiston doomed to become the Angel of Darkness, and thus the end of his chapter? Or in some way has he become the Angel of Hope? Is there a way for him to once more rise against the darkness, to defeat the rage? And just what part does Sanguinius play within this picture? Why is he appearing more and more to his sons within the warp? And just what part does this play for the survival of his bloodline? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.